It's time for more Ace Attorney. I'm attorneying out right now. Karamod is got some exciting news that I'm looking at right now. Oh, new Mario Bros. Wonder trailer. I'm gonna watch that quickly. Let's watch that quickly before we play Ace Attorney.
Onward and upward.
This is all the same clips from the first trailer. This is literally just the same clips. Wait, no, this is literally just the same trailer. They just reposted the same trailer. Okay, cool. Thanks, Nintendo of Europe. I'm attorney. So I realized why I like Danganronpa more than Ace Attorney as a lawyer game. In Danganronpa, you actually get to know the killers. That's why I like it more. Like, I've always liked Danganronpa more than Ace Attorney, but I've never had an articulate reason other than, oh, but I like it. But I figured out the reason. It's because we actually get to know the killers. Like, in Ace Attorney, I played the game, and I don't care if Joe McKildaman did the crime, because I never got to know them. But in Danganronpa, when someone kills someone, it's someone you've gotten to know, sometimes for even up to, like, 5 chapters, and that hits home to me a lot more. Bridge to the Turnabout is an exception from this, because with Goto, you do get to know him over the course of the game, so that's why Bridge to the Turnabout is one of the best, if not the best, case in the series. But other than that case, I do prefer Danganronpa more. Also, Danganronpa is wackier with its cases, I'm going to be honest. I like the wackiness. And I like the vibe of, like, instead of professional lawyers, just 15 teenagers yelling at each other in a courtroom. Where's Kai? Ace Attorney Chronicles. Oh, right. This is a lot of big reading game. We're gonna have to read. It's very dark outside already because it's stormy. I live in a monsoon, like in an eternal monsoon. I am going back to college soon though, so I won't be in an eternal monsoon for very long. So where were we? So the dubious looking Russian, Mr. Roylott. Obviously what catches the eye in the first place are the enormous pairs of shears in your hand. Naraska says, what would you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. I'm not going to do accents for right now because my throat hurt. It makes my throat hurt. Or I might. You're on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sport. Now moving on. The question then begged is this. Why do you desire to rid yourself of this magnificent beard, Mr. Roylott? The answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. Regard, if you will, this morning's newspaper, the fascinating front-page article, which it would appear you have read also, Mr. Roylott. I'm sure it needs no more clarification. The evidence reveals your true identity. That reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. I'm not going to read out loud on leaving it on. The subject of the article possesses an extremely copious beard. Having read the article yourself, you decided to remove your incriminating facial hair before it gave you away. Yes, because you're the fearsome Russian revolutionary yourself, being Bolshevik. Not that I've heard you myself, I understand. Yes, because him having a beard means he has a revolutionary, means he's a revolutionary. Now as for my second conclusion, Bolshevik. Villain Bolshevik is his name. You are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a crime. And the proof of this crime over there. Oh yes, Mr. Roylott. Taken unawares, people have the propensity to let their... And I assure you, the eye speaks so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies in the furtive glance fell. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, that traveling case. It is time, I think, that this case be let open and the contents laid bare. What could you possibly be concealing inside? By my estimation, a young lady, perhaps. One slight enough to fit therein. Don't be absurd! Don't be absurd! And what, pray, would be the identity of this young lady in the traveling case? It all ties together! It all ties together! It's the fucking... Prince, the actor! Yes, the reason you refuse to obey your travelers can equally be found in this page of the newspaper. Durden was living revolutionary to the back page. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novice Ballet disappears from Shanghai. Such a headline can lead us to but one conclusion. Your crime is that of abduction. And according to this article, the young woman's name is Nikolai Pavlova. Elemensky. Thank you, Herlock Sholmes. Very cool. Susanna-san, that wasn't one of the great deductions I've been hearing so much about, was it? Well, the stories are full of Mr. Sholmes' brilliant deductions, you know. But that did seem a little different somehow. Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes, could you come over here a moment? Pray, what can I do for you? It's about your deductions. Would you mind? There's a newspaper article. I think we had the same discussion before, but these two men look nothing like each other. I recall it, and I believe I told you that the man is a revolutionary, more able to revolutionize his own appearance. The part about inducting the ballerina, a truly startling revelation. At first glance, not just at first glance, it is too small. Clearly, you'd be lucky to fit a 5-year-old into that case, even if you pushed really hard. You don't know? No, the young lady is 15. What? A troop of men consuming vinegar daily in order to resolve a certain lithness in their bodies. For such a sour bunch, it would be surely be simplicity itself to fit someone in that case. Mr. Naruto, something has occurred to me about his objections. I think his powers of observation are, well, magical. His eyes cut to the heart of the matter almost instantly. It's just where he directs his attention and his logic seem a little off. The idea of a little may be a little off itself, Susanoo. Oh? Switch some keywords in his deductions. Yes, but very tactfully. I feel sure if we could do that, we'd unlock the true genius of Mr. Sholmes' great deduction. Precisely the thought that was going through my own mind. I think he's funny. On you, my good fellow. Take a moment to look at your wrist. What? I felt that it hindered me the ability to follow me. And don't worry, I shall restore the shackles to your wrists when we are finished. I'm not worried. In fact, I'd rather stay like this. Logic and reasoning spectacular. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Oh, okay, so you have to press the button. I'm not sure. Okay. Well, let's see if there's anything we can even use. What was he actually going to use those enormous shears for? It's a very thick hat, isn't it? That's the secret, you see. Don't you know? What the? What's this? What's it doing on the back of Mr. Rorlot's head? And how's it going out from underneath his thick black hair?
Yes!
You're on the verge of using the shears to cut away the golden locks you sport. Indeed, you have identified the precise detail I was intending to expose. I like their fucking animation there. This is where the 3D models shine over the 2D models, but I do prefer the 2D sprites in like the courtroom scenes. If only I'd managed to cut off my hair, no one would have suspected. Why would you desire to rid yourself of these magnificent locks? The answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. You're enjoying this, aren't you? You look like you're in your element as you dance around the room producing the facts with Mr. Soames. Yeah. For some reason, this woman needed to... She's not an abductee, she's a runaway.
Yes!
The evidence that reveals your true identity, of course, is the article about the ballerina. That's right, you've hit the nail on the head. I like that animation. Renowned prima ballerina disappears from Shanghai. And I like their dynamic now. Now they seem a lot better. Did you stab yourself? You're right. My real name is Nina, but please, I beg you, don't tell anyone. Yes, the traveling case. The woman is the ballerina, and she's right in front of our eyes, and clearly she can't be inside of that traveling case as well. It seems she wasn't abducted at all. What is the crime this young woman is apparently committing? I can see I'm gonna have to step in and fix the great detective's mistake again. You look pleased. Do you like how the other chance to dance around with Mr. Holmes? Are you gay, Mr. Naruhodo? I know what you are, Mr. Naruhodo. She stole the tiara.
Yes!
The proof of your crime is surely this tiara. But why did the traveling case shake? It's one of stage for dancers in the ballet, right? Indeed, it would appear to be the identical to the tiara pictured here in this newspaper article. And if the reporting is to believe, it's an item worth 20,000 rubles. In summary, the crime you've committed is theft. You left your ballet troupe unlawfully, taking your precious. But then what's inside the traveling case? I have no one, no family, no friends. I am all alone, and I need money. But I did not steal the tiara. It was a present from, how do you say, an Earl of Prussia. It belongs to me. This girl's only 15 years old, and she's run away all by herself. She must have been extremely lonely. Alright, I'll tell you everything. There's no point in it now. Come, let us not be hasty. There remains one unsolved mystery about you. You essentially refused to open this traveling case of ours. It is reasonable to consider that there exists some reason why you wish it to remain closed. Nothing escapes my attention. Indeed, I have a very good idea of the contents of your case, even before I have ever laid eyes on them. Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup de rôle betrays you. Once again, you need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. The reason is written in the books on the shelf. He's completely changed tack with his deduction now. I think he's adapting his logic to fit the circumstances. But why has he suddenly brought up the bookshelf into all this? It's just a wild guess, surely. Well, it seems likely that the reason the woman doesn't want to open her case would have been written in a book that doesn't even belong to her. She did cast her eyes in that direction. Then there has to be another reason, and it has to be someone in the same area if that's where her gaze was involuntarily drawn. Whatever she has hidden inside that case should be revealed by following her gaze in the direction of the bookcase. These are the rules of passengers. Passengers must like the— oh, right, it's a pets! And the thing shook earlier. So I've actually been serving time for weeks now, have I?
Yes!
Yes, the reason why you refuse to open the case is written in the rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Inside that case of yours is something forbidden on the carriage of this vessel. That is the real reason why you refuse to open it, thus revealing its contents. As you've seen, the trunk wobbles from time to time, but no weapon or other dangerous item would move on its own accord. Which leads to one possibility, Miss Pavlova. Inside your traveling case is the last item, a pet. What does this have to do with Kazuma's murder? Elementary. So clearly you aren't who you said you were. No, I'm not Grimsby Roylott. My real name is Nikova Pavlova. Everything you said was correct. You absconded during one of your ballet performances in order to escape your homeland. Later that same night, you stole aboard the vessel, which couldn't have been easy. The Bury is a huge steamship with a vast crew. Could she really have stuck on board without being noticed? In order to obscure your identity, you somewhat recklessly took the guise of an old gentleman, and you attempted to sever all links with your past by severing your long hair. Yet to a woman, hair is no trifling matter. My personal recommendation is to leave well alone. So if it was just you about to cut off your own hair, who is it that let out the scream from inside the cavern? The veritable tickling of a bell, none other than this young lady, naturally. I was so scared when they ran away in Shanghai. I thought they would come for me. That's why I decided to, how do you say, disgust myself? As a result, you transformed yourself into that questionable old man. I put on the fur hat and fake beard, and then, just before you came in here, I saw in the newspaper. Right on the page, there's a picture of me. I was so frightened that I couldn't stop from screaming. I knew that if this didn't change my appearances completely, they would find me. So I decided to cut off all my hair as fastly as possible. I picked up the scissors in my hand and... at that precise moment, we walked in through that annoyingly unlocked cabin door. Things happen like that sometimes, don't they? They do tend to happen like that from time to time. Are these two even talking about the same thing? There's just one more thing I'd like to know. What exactly do you have inside your suitcase? You were right. It is my dear friend inside, my only friend in the whole world. Please, don't tell anyone. If the captain finds out, if you say to any of the crew, your secret is safe with us, I assure you. But in return, you must tell us in as much detail as you can muster about the events of last night. Yes, alright. I will tell you. Wasn't it something, Mr. Schultz? It was certainly something, yes. I'm just not entirely sure what, but at least Miss Pavlova has agreed to tell us what she knows. Indeed, it is incredible. And one more thing. Oh, yes? What? Observe your wrists. Ah, your hands got cuffed again. What? But how? True to my word, I have restored your shackles. When and why? There's still a shadow of guilt cast over you, Mr. Nohana. It can't be helped at the moment. So he just took the cuffs off so we could dance around the room with him, and then he put them back on. Did you know that someone was killed in the cabin next door to this one? One of the crewmen told me this morning while I was eating breakfast. The man who died, he was a friend of mine. Oh, that's why we're trying to find out what happened. Did you notice anything unusual last night? Perhaps you heard a strange noise, for example. Perhaps people talking. Perhaps the ship was absorbed in a wild tempest. Perhaps the steam engine exploded. Perhaps everyone on board would have noticed if that would have happened. Miss Pavlova, is there anything you can tell us? I don't know. I'm sorry, but all I could think about last night was what I had done and whether they would find me. I didn't notice anything that was happening around me. That's a lie. Me when I lie. You've run away from your ballet company, the Nova Ballet. Yes, I'm traveling to Great Britain, and from there, I want to go to America. I'll never dance again. I want to forget everything about the ballet. I will start a new life. Your wish is to forget, a challenging proposition when you have that striking tiara as a reminder. But the tiara is mine. I need it to live. I have no money of my own. The Nova Ballet gives us only a little food and water, and we must dance all over the world. I had to run away. I had no choice. If I stayed, it would have killed me. So you ran away to protect yourself. Yes, and the crew of the ship, they have all been kind to me. They let me come on board, and they said I could hide in this cabin. So they're in on it. If that is indeed the truth, it creates a most interesting conundrum. What do you think about it, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, yes, of course. I think we should hear Miss Pavlova's explanation. To what conundrum, I'm not sure, but... Oh, sorry. I thought... So the friend you mentioned was inside the traveling case, is he right? I don't think animals are allowed on board according to the rules of passage. Oh, please, don't tell any of the crew. If they found my precious, then the burly Russians would stir themselves in unison to throw you and your case overboard. So reassuring, Mr. Sholmes. But what sort of pet is your friend? A little puppy? Is it? It is, isn't it? Maybe adorable little rabbit. Ha, you couldn't Russia as a land with small rabbits, do you? You may as well ask. I have no idea. You two are miserable bunglers when it comes to understanding the natures of young Valerie and his friends. Isn't it obvious? It must be a chicken. Consider the benefits. A rousing wake-up call, daily fresh eggs, and when adversity strikes, it could satisfy the needs of sustenance. So you'd eat your friends. I'll remember that. Well, it appears his friend's identity is a closely guarded secret not to be revealed. She obviously doesn't quite trust us yet. There's something I would like to show her, I think. Maybe she might be able to shed some light on it. Miss Pavlova, allow me to pose you a riddle. According to this newspaper, it was only yesterday you absconded from the ballet. Now that being the case, it must have been last night that you boarded this vessel. However, the SS Berea stopped by no port last night. So how is it, pray, that you come to be aboard? Now that I think about it, the crewmen outside act very strangely when we mention that. It was just after when we asked him. His name is Beef Stroganoff. That is not your business. Yes, you're right. He did seem to be hiding something. An angel descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to the stage. It is how the Russian newspapers described one of my performances. And that is how I came too. I descended from the heavens, because I'm an angel. Considering English isn't your mother tongue, your description isn't very vivid. A genius descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to detection. Which wonderfully extravagant a quote from a wonderfully extravagant advertisement for the adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, in fact. Yes, Mr. Showy. Hey, this is like Miss Pavlova is going to tell us what really happened. This is the diary of my friend who passed away. I running it last night, something a little unusual. It reads, I can see a pure faint whistling sound. And then a few minutes later, 1:35, what looks to be some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? I don't understand. Your friend is a snake! And it somehow escaped and got into the vent. But the ventilator joins to this cabin. The prologue of this chapter mentioned a snake instead of a speckled man. The animal in the thing is a snake. In other words, the cabins and the victims' cabins are connected together. Oh! Miss Pavlova, something occurred to you. Does the speckled band remind you something of the whistling sounds, perhaps? No, I don't know anything. That's a lie. Excuse me, Mr. Royla. Captain would like to speak with you. You must come to Captain's quarters at once, please. You must leave now. Oh no, it's fine. Don't mind us. Yes, please don't worry yourself, Mr. Roylott. Get out! The passenger said out! Or do you want me to throw you out? It looks like we have to leave investigating this cabin for later. What a pity. What? I wish we hadn't been thrown out like that. I wish we managed to find some clue as to what the speckled band might be. We didn't manage to investigate at all, and I imagine that we won't be able to for a while longer. We'll never get past that sailor guard at the door. He's clearly glaring at us as if to say, don't even think about it. Oh, wait a minute. Well, what happened to our great detective friend? Where did he go? He slipped away as quickly as the wind, but not before ensuring these were securely back on my wrist. It looks like they're still investigating in here. Yes, on that subject, I wonder if Inspector Hosonaga is unscathed. What do you mean unscathed? Surely you haven't forgotten, have you, Mr. Naruto? Naruto-san? You remember what he said about allowing you out of this cabin to investigate? He said he was going to talk to the captain about it. He said he'd lay his life on the line for you. But I'm sure he was exaggerating. Let's see what he has to say for himself. He might have some new information for us. You never know. You, where did you go? I'm sorry, I went to the next door cabin to investigate. Seaman Hosonaga did. That new Japanese, was it? Later I will roll him into ball and throw him in the cold room. Phew, he's gone back to guarding the door. I hope Inspector Hosonaga doesn't find himself in too much trouble. He's really gone out of his way to help us. When we get back to Japan, we'll have to take him for a steak at La Carnival. That could be a very long time from now, Naruto-san. I didn't mean to talk to him again. I didn't mean to do that. Oh, here you are. Oh, shit! Oh, you're back. Inspector, what happened to you? Your face is... Please, don't worry about it. They're just scratches. Made by bear, maybe? When I told the captain I'd given you permission to investigate, he told me he'd pummel me with his fist and then toss me overboard. But the pummeling was over in a flash, and he must have decided against throwing me overboard, so it was nothing, really. Well, thanks to your efforts, we now know a little about the neighboring cabin. Yes, I understand. I bumped into a man claiming to be a great detective a while ago. I think his name was like Herlock Sholmes. I don't think it was German, though. Ah, that explains it. Shall we compare notes then? We can tell you what we found out. Yes, let's do it! Nikolona Pavlova, she's in the cabin next door. What self-respecting ballet fan wouldn't know that graceful angel? Oops, I think I upset him there. Well, that tells us the neighboring cabin is unrelated to this case, at least. Because angels don't go around committing crimes, do they? Inspector, has your investigation in here proved fruitful? If I'm honest, there's very little more that I can do. Our duty is to make sure the scene isn't disturbed, ready to hand over to the Hong Kong police. So I'm just keeping watch here, trying not to take my eyes off the job. Oh, I see. Oh, there is one thing. I do have a small piece of new information for you. What is the new information you have, Inspector? It's this. The Burger medical officer has finished his examination of the body. I managed to obtain the report. Oh, Kazuma's post-mortem report. Kazuma-sama. So, what was the cause of death? Damage to the cervical vertebrae is what is written in the report. His neck was snapped. Yes, it would seem so. There were no other obvious wounds or signs of injury, so at first I think they were considering poison. But it turns out they found no trace of poison in his system at all. Well, what weapon was used then? Nothing has been found as of yet. But the fact that there are no signs of a wound suggests it may have been a blunt object, something that wouldn't leave a mark. All the body's nerves run through the spine to the brain. A strong enough impact to the neck could induce death. It is a possibility, and no obvious wound would be left. I have a second copy of the report. If it might be useful, you're welcome to have it. Really? Are you sure? Yes, it's fine. I trust you. After all, if I didn't trust you, I'd never have agreed to you leaving this cabin in the first place, would I? Oh, Mr. Sholmes was here, was he? Yes, he seemed to be enjoying himself a little too much as he crept about on the floor investigating. But then he suddenly left. I suppose he might have become bored. Actually, now that you mention it, yes, just one thing, but he practically shouted it. It's shoe polish, was all he said. It was when he was over there by the piece of broken glass. Do you see? Perhaps he was talking about this brick-colored mark, do you think? Yes, that must be it. Now, how could Mr. Sholmes know that it's shoe polish? That leaves me cold, I'm afraid. I have no idea. What is it, Cesare-san? Well, Kazuma-sama was wearing leather shoes with a very dark tan hue. Dark tan, a sort of dark brownish red, then. Yes, a little like the color of red wine, but darker. I often repaired them for him. This mark was made by the polish on Kazuma's shoes as they were scuffed on the floor. That's really all I can tell you at this stage. I should return to my post. My fellow crewmen's eyes are boring into the back of my head. Yes, that might be for the best. Thank you. Ahem, ahem, ahem. Poor Inspector, you look exhausted. Oh no, well... I feel terrible that I failed to protect Hisogi-san. He was my responsibility. Of course, my pain is nothing compared to yours. You were his friends. The truth is, I seem to have a heavy head ever since I woke this morning. My head's still throbbing too. I think they knocked us out. It really is such a beautiful color, this glass. Something broken in two, but the other half is nowhere to be seen, and there's this brick colored mark, which is shoe polish, according to that great detective. I suppose it must be from Kazuma-sama's shoes. Maybe, but what I'd like to know is how could the detective be so sure it's shoe polish and not something else? Because he's a great detective, of course. That's hardly a reason, is it? Can we go into the other room through this vent? So this ventilator joins to Miss Pavlova's cabin, and just a few minutes before he died, Kazuma saw something emerging from it. The speckled band, as he describes it. If only Miss Pavlova had been able to shed some light on it, but she seemed as baffled as we are. I wonder if she's telling us everything, though. I'm not sure. I know most people would say the same about me, but there's something about that woman that didn't sit right with me. Oh, he's gone. Ah! Look, no Hardison. Seaman Stroganoff is gone. Stroganoff? Yeah, you know, she beef on my stroganoff. She strogan me off till I beef. Tra-la-la. Did you hear that? It sounded like somebody singing. Tra-la-la-la-la-la-la. I did it the great detective way. Miss Caroling, I know that lark-like voice. Well, never mind that now. This is a golden opportunity for us. Yes, you're right. We must seize it. Let's go inside Miss Pavlova's cabin while we can and investigate. Before that Stringy Knot crewman comes back. It's Stroganoff, not Stringy Knot. Miss Pavlova isn't back yet. Susanna-san. Oh, where's she gone? Hey, what are you doing? Those are her private things. There's not a moment to waste, Naruto-san. We must investigate as quickly as we can. Not just for Kazuma-sama. It can't be long now until we arrive at port in Hong Kong. I don't want you to be in those handcuffs when we get there. We must solve this case, Naruto-san, by ourselves if we have to. Yes, we will. Aww. Why were you examining over here? Naruto-san, are you there? Sorry, I'm right here, yes. Why? Oh, good. I thought you might have climbed into the wardrobe while I wasn't looking. There's no place like home. Believe me, I don't have some strange compulsion to jump inside every wardrobe I see, you know. Well, anyway, I'm not sure anyone could fit inside this one. It's full of beautiful outfits. I suppose they're all stage costumes. I was rather hoping we'd find Miss Pavlova's friend hiding in there, but not so much luck. Oh my, Miss Pavlova's case is open. Oh, I didn't even see that from back here. It's because of the blare of the light. It's completely empty inside, but she was hiding her special friend in there. Yes, a friend she had to keep secret. Because you're not allowed to bring animals aboard the SS Burya. I wonder what kind of animal she had in there, and more to the point, where is it now? The detective probably stole it. So this ventilator connects to Kazuma-sama's cabin next door. Yes, although what a foolish it would be to open a ventilator into another room. Maybe it's so that if there's a gas leak next door, the occupant in cabin in this room would notice and raise the alarm. Or the occupants of both cabins would die of gas poisoning. Anyway, last night, Cosmo wrote that he saw a speckled band coming out of this ventilator. All the books have been toppled over together, look. Every single one. That the same was the case in... Do you think it's a God of the Sea, perhaps? He's toppled too, though. It's exactly the same in Casima's cabin. Perhaps. Perhaps Miss Pavlova was practicing a difficult ballet pose and fell against the bookcase. I don't know, would she really be practicing ballet at the same night she ran away from the ballet company? Alright then, it must have been you. You lost your temper and knocked them over. Not everything bad that happens on the ship is because of me, you know. Well, anyway, I set them all straight again in here, too. I don't like seeing things in disarray. I wonder what this little saucer is doing on the floor. Yes, it doesn't look like it's been dropped. It looks more like it's been put there deliberately. Do you think there could be a leak in the roof just above here? Is this ship quite safe? I'm sure that even if there's a little leak in the roof, it doesn't mean the whole ship is going to sink. It was food for the friend. She's really trying to persuade herself, isn't she? It would seem this teapot is empty. So the natural conclusion is that the Russians are very thirsty people. Or, because Miss Pavlova only came into this cabin last night, she hasn't had the chance to make any tea yet. I mean, it could be either. It's definitely that they're excessively thirsty. I'd lay 1,000 to 1 on it. You're rather obstinate, aren't you, Naruhodo-san? There are just a few books on the desk. Nothing else, by the looks of it. Well, Miss Pavlova only ran away from the ballet last night. She's hardly occupied this cabin for any time at all. That's true. I wonder what kind of book she likes to read. Let me see. Yes, I see. It would seem that Miss Pavlova enjoys reading... books written in Russian. Thanks. I think I probably already knew that. It's rude to ask too much of people, Naruhodo-san. Kindly remember that. Wait, they never mentioned the fucking tiara. Is the tiara still on there? Or did she take that too? They're displayed in this cabin too, look. The SS Burial's rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons. Pets are also strictly forbidden. I suppose Miss Pavlova realized that she needed to keep the contents of her case a secret after she read this. Her special friend, I mean. I wonder where her friend has disappeared to now. It's probably having fun exploring the ship, I'd imagine. I just hope Seaman Stroganov doesn't find it and throw it overboard. Oh, yes, so do I. I've investigated thoroughly, but I can't find anything out of place. I suppose every cabin has a waste paper basket. Shall we have a little look and see what's been thrown away? It's poor etiquette to go sifting through someone's rubbish, you know. Those eyes, she's looking at me like I'm a piece of rubbish now. However, these are special circumstances, I think. Exactly! We have no choice. There's hardly anything in here at all. Oh, well, that's a little disappointing. Hello? Oh, it's Mr. Sholmes. You never know where he's going to turn up next. He seems to be stealing a look at something as he sings to himself.
Tra-la-la-lea-lea-lay, I did it the great detective way. He's still singing. Do you think he hasn't noticed us? Or is simply in extremely high spirits? Yes, there were limes, I sure you knew, when the yard bit off more than it could chew. And through it all, when there was doubt, its lucky hairlock was about. This is, I don't know why, I'm like obsessed with twirling this. It really makes you feel like Kara Undertale. Its lucky hairlock was about. Excuse me. I solved it all and I stood tall. I did the great detective way. Mr. Sholmes! Ah! What is it? We want to fight?
Bro's hitting the Mario Idol stance in Smash Bros. Honestly, interrupting a fellow when he's singing, and I was just about to use the climactic finish. I very nearly dropped you to the floor with one of my famous right hooks. He's hitting the fucking Mario and Smash Bros. Idol stance. Woohoo! I get the picture. Now could you put those fists away? Mr. Sholmes, you seem to be examining something before we interrupted you. Oh yes, that. I was immersed in study of this ship's log as penned by the stockily built crewman who's usually here. Oh yes, the ship's log. And did you find out anything useful from it? Well, after 2 a.m. this morning, the majority of the entries are blank, which means that there was nothing to report. Nothing of note happened, so... Ah ha 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 ha! You truly are a student from the land of the rising sun. You've been utterly blinded by it. Ah ha 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 ha! Your logic, my boy, is inverted. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? Observe the other pages, and all shall become clear. What? It had seen the same crewman off stands in the first entry passage entryway, and the abbess has a religious practice of recording nothing to report every half hour. Oh, he writes that in every 30 minutes. Nothing to report? Precisely, but simply, the seaman writes nothing to report when there is just that, and yet, the ship's log from last night is largely blank. He didn't even write nothing to report. That means there was something to report that he wanted to keep hidden. There are circumstances afoot last night which led to the seaman being absent from his post. What kind of circumstances? What happened? That remains a mystery for now. But we can be sure something significant took place. So significant that it caused the seaman to forget his regular habit of scribing nothing to report in the log. These are important details. I would stake my life on it. You must log the ship's log into your mental file. Now that deduction was worthy of a great detective.
Ah, you're starting to understand what my way is. What makes Sholmes Sholmes. Brilliance. Ah ha 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 ha! Ha 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 ha! Ooh, ouch. Oh, don't worry yourself. I seem to have been afflicted with a throbbing head this morning for some reason, nothing more. You too? Did someone, like, drug everyone on board of this with the food? Well, my friends, until our next encounter. He's still singing to himself. I can hear it as he wanders off down the passageway. Is something wrong, Suzaru-san? You seem lost in thought. It's just, well, I feel the same. Ever since I woke this morning, I've had something of a headache. A sort of continuous throbbing. Oh, you too? So now it's everyone that's mentioned it, all four of us. Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. Shut down the engines immediately! Vessel sighted at quarter-mile 4! First stop! Head to starboard! All hands, brace for impact! I think we're about to crash into another ship. I can't stand! Suzato-san, hold on to me! Suzato-san, are you alright? Are you injured at all? I think I'm fine. Thank you, Naruto-san. It looks like we avoided a collision. I think the ship has come to a stop. What about you, Naruto-san? Are you hurt? No, I'm fine. Hello, is anybody in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like Inspector Hosonaga. Is that you in there, Naruto-san? Unlock the door, quickly! The bolt. The door's bolted. Did you do that, Suzato-san? No, I didn't touch it. I think we did collide, and it slid over. The bolt slid over. We did collide. Wait, that means we collided earlier, and no one mentioned it. Naruto-san, aren't you going to open the door and let the inspector in? I'd better tidy this place up first. Our violent emergency stop has solved one mystery, at least, in a very vivid way, but I knew that what awaited us on the other side of the cabin door would not be pleasant. I hurried around tidying up the cabin with a new sense of foreboding in my heart. So the plan is tomorrow I'm not going to stream, and then Thursday is Danganronpa, and then Friday is Bomber Cyberpunk. Wait. Yeah. That's probably what's going to happen. "9th January, SS Buria, Miss Pavlova's cabin. Somehow, the door to the cabin we were in ended up bolted after we made an emergency stop. Suzato-san took a deep breath and then gently slid back the bolt. You! What are you doing in Miss Pavlova's headquarters? Ah, you both look unhurt. Good. Yes, we're fine, thank you. What on earth happened? We heard something about how we were going to collide with another ship. Yes, it appears to have been a false report, though. Oh, how did that happen? There's a dense fog outside, so it's extremely difficult to see. Someone must have thought he saw a ship ahead. This person obviously triggered the alarm, and that's why we made the emergency stop. Everything is chaos! Passengers are screaming! Crew are running everywhere! This first class area is the only quiet part of the ship at the moment. Oh, I see. Someone triggered the alarm. Does that mean that someone pressed that button outside? Oh, you wicked intruder, dressed all in black. You are the devil. Sorry, me? You opened my traveling case. How could you? No, we didn't touch it. That's right, Miss Pavlova. It was already open when we came into your cabin. Inspector! Yes? Arrest this man! I know he did it! He is a criminal! Is it not enough that he killed the man? Duh! And he is stowaway as well! If Vixen promises not to steal chicken, do you believe? Take him away! He is a trespasser as well as everything else. Stowing away, trespassing, killing. She is right! You are devil! It doesn't look good, does it? There is cell below deck. Throw him in. Tomorrow we dock in Hong Kong, then we give you straight to police. Please, Inspector Hosonaga, is there nothing you can do? This is the Russian vessel. I really have no jurisdiction here. After my last effort to compete with the captain's good nature, I think I'm out of options. This is terrible. This is a real crisis. I've got to find a solution. Immediately.
Please, just give me a little more time. I'll do nothing for you except show you way to ship's prison cell. But I'm innocent. I didn't kill anyone. And trespassing and stowing away? Well, you know, sometimes life can lead you down some unusual avenues and, well... Enough! You are all guilty! Ship cell only place fit for you! Some savior has to rescue me through this crisis. An angel? Perhaps? Miss Pavlova, can I get out? Listen, I'm sorry that we snuck in here without your permission, but get out now! We need to investigate in here that... Ugh, it's no use. She's not going to listen. I need to find someone who will. You got yourself into a difficult situation here by entering this cabin uninvited, I mean. Sorry, I was just so desperate to find a clue. I'm afraid there's really nothing more I can do to help you. If I push my luck any further, a punch to the face will be the least of my worries. I'm really sorry. I have to take responsibility for giving you the freedom to investigate Miss Pavlova's cabin. Now that this has happened, I'll have to report to the captain at once. What? What the fuck? What? What the fuck? What are you doing up there? Mr. Sholmes? Naturally, I was analyzing what a panda with 20,000 rubles feels on one's head. Have I not told you that as a detective, it is my business to know what other people do not? This isn't mere tomfoolery, my boy. Why are you hanging from the hook before then? Is it obvious to properly assess the weight of 20,000 rubles? I want to determine it would bend that conceited-looking hook on the wall so full of brag and bounce. Ah, you again, the great detective. Ah, Inspector. I confess I've been looking for you. I have something to report to you most urgently. Well, you might try looking for me someone other than a hook on the wall next time. What is to report? Speak! An urgent report from a great detective can be one thing. Yes, the case of the curious murder that took place last night here on this vessel, the steamship Buria, has been solved by me, naturally. Yes, I've eliminated all other possibilities. No other explanations exist, so allow me to illuminate all your minds, for I'm about to reveal my great detective, great admired, great deduction to the case. Ah! You have solved it! Even Hedgehog understands this case. We all knew who was responsible for killing student boy this morning when we found criminal in Walgate. It is this stowaway, and he has the handcuffs to prove it. The trouble is, there doesn't appear anyone else who could have killed the victim. Because, as everyone knows, the cabin door was bolted shut from the inside. It was bolted shut when someone hit the alarm. Someone killed him, walked outside, hit the alarm, and that bolted the door shut. That's what happened. The locked room, that is the point. The room was locked. Well, I can't deny that. There's no way the bolt could have been drawn across from the outside of the cabin. Yes, it can, by pressing the button. The cabin next door is not a so-called locked room at all. Oh yes, there is another entrance. An entrance used last night by the culprit in order to gain access to the cabin despite the bolted door. What are the entrance? Why, it keeps opening out at you even if you speak. The ventilator, man. You think this is funny? I cannot even put my arm through that hole. You suggesting that the culprit entered and left the victim's cabin through that tiny opening. It's not possible. Ah, but it is. And last night, the victim even witnessed the intruder in the act of passing through the ventilator. Mr. Sholmes, do you mean? Are you referring to the words Kazuma-sama wrote in his diary? I can hear a faint whistling sound. 135, what looks to be some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Precisely, my dear madam. But what does it mean? What is this speckled band? The answer to that particular conundrum is in this very cabin. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? There's a distinct element of danger, but fear not, I am ready. What I'm about to expose for your to see will shock you to your cores. Behold! Okay, I knew it was a snake. Allow me to introduce you all to the band, the Speckled Band. A snake, indubitably. Mr. Sholmes, just one thing. Pray, what troubles you? Well, that snake isn't really speckled, is it? It looks more stripy, wouldn't you say? Hmm? Oh yeah, true. Yes, you're right. I think in that case, you'd have to call it a stripe band. Wouldn't you? Hehehe. You both see and observe with distinction. However, do you not think that is precisely the trap into which the culprit wants you to fall? I think perhaps it is time I explain the intricacies of my train of thought. Are you ready, Miss Pavlova? I'm sorry for the young man who died, but that is all. His death has nothing to do with me. There are two conclusions that I have drawn from the facts. Number one, last night your friend infiltrated the victim's cabin. And number two, that same friend was responsible for the victim losing his life. No. She's turned white as a bowl of rice again. Sholmes must be right. He's hit the nail on the head. This young woman's friend killed Mr. Asogi. Oh! It looks like he can't speak with that snake coiled around his head. I would advise as little movement as possible, Seaman. You wouldn't want the fangs of that long friend in your neck. So everyone, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular! Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death has nothing to do with me. His whole death has nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yet when you recall this sort of events, does aching heart smart with pain? Oh, they aren't going to let me start until later. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what is the nature of this intruder who stole into the victim's cabin on that pretentious night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? As I suspected, another telltale glance. Without a doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. Okay, so it's not, it's the Seaman. And yet that fact leaves us in quite a quandary. The victim's observation on the night in question tell of a speckled band, whereas regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What is the sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary for now, hidden behind your back. That which you are trying but failing to conceal can only be the snake's slowed skin. After the subtle and horrible crime, this almost deadly friend of yours shed its original skin, no? Do snakes work like that? Can, like, they get a whole totally different pattern? Last night, through the ventilator visible in the cabin, your then speckled friend slithered next door. Using the bell cord on the other side as a bridge, the serpent silently descended into the victim's quarters. In the dim light, it appeared the young gentleman who was about to lose his life as the speckled band. But then what about the message? In summary, the nature of this friend of yours, which infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a rare breed of snake whose markings change every time it slows its skin. A snake so dreadful, we can only imagine it would be found in the deepest depths of India. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter. The grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear that there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased's body will prove the cause of death conclusively. The almost, but not quite, imperceptible puncture wounds left by the venomous fangs will see the truth. Yes, the vestiges of the snakebite delivered by your terrifying friend. There's no point feigning ignorance, Miss Pavlova. After the incident, you endeavored to hide everything, did you? But now your involuntary glance portrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you had the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case. When we first met in this cabin, it came to my attention that your case moved periodically. Your serpent assassin was restless inside, no doubt. You don't... It is telling that the victim made note of a low whistling sound he heard minutes before its end. That was your signal, was it not? The sound you used to train your serpent friend. To train? Indeed, you put the serpent through this ventilator and wait. After a period, you summon it back with a whistle. You couldn't know if the animal had done its duty, so you would listen for signs of life next door. If the victim appeared to not have been dispatched, you'd release the snake once more. Do you deny the snake has undergone such training? It's not true! Having slithered through the ventilator and down the bell cord, this creature needed only to sink its fangs in once. And this venom would course through the victim's veins, ending its existence forever. That is the true nature of the speckled band that took this young man's life. There could be no doubt. My logic is infallible. This concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of the speckled band. Miss Pavlova has trained her pet snake as a killing machine. There on the floor, you will observe a saucer of milk. The promise of food is the key to training any. Incredible! You've solved the mystery! Amazing! Your great deduction really lives up to its name! My dear man, it was nothing remarkable. As the Russians say, I could have done it with one left hand. Could I venture your opinion, Mr. Sholmes? But of course, what's on your mind? It's just, about your deductions before. Some things just don't quite make sense to me. I welcome questions as to my method, and will answer both loudly and proudly. Oh, well, good. First of all, snakes are egg-laying creatures, part of the reptile family. You are well informed, madam. And reptiles, don't drink milk. Ah. It's really only mammals that like to drink milk, you see. So I'm not sure it would be possible to train a snake by using milk as a reward. No matter. No doubt Miss Pavlova will use some other treat to encourage your pet to do her bidding. Milk was merely an example. The logic holds. Well, there is something else. Snakes have no ears. Ah. So I'm not sure it would really be possible to signal to a snake by whistling. But madam, what are the tales of Arabia? Have you not heard the snakes that like to dance to the sound of the flute? Fuck, I dropped my fake knife. Where'd it go? Where'd my... I think perhaps the performers play their music in time with the snake's natural movements. Oh, I see. No hands, no feet, no ears? These creatures are so inept as to be practically useless. Don't take it out on the snakes, Mr. Sholmes. There's one other thing. You have more? Snakes use the scales on their belly to propel themselves. So, I'm not really sure that a snake can manage to climb up a flat bell cord like the ones in these cabins. Then it should try harder! It should simply be built different. The point is, even if the snake had gone through the ventilator in the next door cabin, it couldn't have come back without help. What I'm trying to say is that there are a number of reasons why it's difficult to imagine the snake could have had a part in this. I think we need to step in and help again, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, we need to modify Mr. Sholmes' latest deductions and turn them the great ones they ought to be. I had a feeling that was coming. Alright, let's give it a try. Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, right. So, cast your eyes down to your wrists again. You've done it again. Your handcuffs are gone. Where did they go? Fear not, I shall see that they're restored after our work is done. I really wish you'd leave them off. Now, everyone, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death has nothing to do with me. This whole thing has nothing to do with me. Yeah, you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall this horrid event, your aching heart smarts with pain. She does have a pained expression on her face. She looks as though Cosmo-san's death is weighing heavily on her mind, but you're not sure if Mr. Sholmes has read it quite correctly. Could there be some other way to interpret her expression, then? Let's take a moment and really look closely at Miss Pavlova. She has such pretty ears among that beautiful hair, like little pink shells. There's something dangling down from your ear. That's an earring. A crescent moon part looks as though it's made from wood. It's charming, isn't it? Women do seem to love adornments like that in their hair, around their necks, on their fingers, and even hanging from their ears, it seems. Well, jewelry is beautiful, Naruhodo-san. Wait, what's that on your hand? Can I? Like, there's like marks on her hand. Oh, Naruhodo-san, look. That looks like a very painful wound. It looks like a scratch made from some sort of small wound, and fairly recent, too. Well, whatever scratched you doesn't appear to be around here.
Yes!
Oh, right, we need to present. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, the claw scratch smarts with pain. Indeed, and simple observation reveals that the wound is fresh. Miss Pavlova, did you in fact receive that scratch sometime last night? Your animal isn't a snake! When I think about the young man who died next door, I feel so sad. And when I am sad, the pain from this wound is worse. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on this portentous night? Could a cat be seen as a speckled band? Why, it was this friend. As I suspected, another telltale glance. It seems likely that the scratch mark on the back of the hand was made by this friend of hers, doesn't it? Except, snakes don't have claws. No, they don't. They don't even have hands or feet on which claws might grow. So then, if that snake isn't her pet, what is? What is the true identity of this friend of hers? We should follow her gaze now, Naruto-san. That's where we'll find the answer. Is that a cat in the picture? Yeah. Oh, look at the photograph. But that's not speckled either. It must be something Miss Pavlova brought with her. Personally, it's the little black creature she's holding that's caught my eye. Maybe we better take a closer look at this.
Yes!
Without a doubt, your friend is the little kitten we see before us. Yes, the scratch on the back of your hand makes that abundantly clear. The whereabouts of this black kitten isn't clear, but what's clear is that you brought the animal with you when you ran away, didn't you? Darka is my beloved best friend. I couldn't leave her behind. Darka would appear to be a Russian blue. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band, whereas regrettably, the specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was the sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have to answer this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying but failing to conceal can only be the snake's loud skin. Did you see that? She just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her back. If she just left it in her pocket, no one would have ever known. Oh yes, ploys like that are Mr. Sholm's specialty. He ever so cleverly forced her to reveal something. I thought deduction was his specialty, or else making me believe that was a ploy too. I find it hard to believe that's the skin of a snake. In which case, just what is Miss Pavlova hiding behind her back? Her ear. Hold on, my mother is calling me. Alright, I'm back. Wait, what is that on the skin? Well, it is speckled and it is a band, but what is it? It seems to be soft and fluffy. A long piece of cloth of some sort, and that looks like a handle at one end. I think it may be a cat toy. Cats like to chase the band around and paw at it. Kittens in particular love that sort of play. You only need to wave it in front of them and they pounce to catch it. That sounds positively adorable.
Yes!
Yes! The thing you are trying but failing to conceal is, a cat's toy. Precisely, and the true nature of the now infamous speckled band. And it was this toy that you dangled through the ventilator. You waved it around, I presume. Naturally, the victim could not fail but to notice it. But why? For what reason? My dear boy, there can only be one answer to that. After her feline friend disappeared through the ventilator into the neighboring cabin, Miss Pavlova attempted to use the speckled cat's toy to incite the creature to return. In summary, the nature of this friend of Miss Pavlova's, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a blithesome Russian blue breed of cat by the name of Darka. A truly troublesome feline young Darka is proving to be. She must be caged once found. You will forgive us too for borrowing the photograph of your pet, Miss Pavlova. It was after I gave her food last night. That's when it happened. She scratched the back of my hand and ran up the bell cord. Before I could do anything, she had disappeared through the ventilator. Darka, she is so naughty. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the group demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear that there were no visible signs of injury. So that means the cat couldn't have done it. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. What Mr. Sholmes says is true. There were no signs of wounds anywhere in the Kazuma-sama's body. But Mr. Sholmes seems to be unaware of one very important detail. Kazuma wasn't poisoned. Let's give him the information he's missing now.
Yes!
In fact, the creature's circumstances of death can only be explained by the post-mortem report. I knew it was one or the other. His neck was... Indeed, the breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal. Only that Goliath would be strong enough to survive that. Seaman Stroganov isn't some immortal freak, you know. The jury's out. Anyway, we have it on good authority that the victim's neck was broken. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased bodies will prove the cause of death conclusively. Kazuma died because his neck was broken. In other words, he was probably struck by something. Or someone. No weapon has been found, though. Presumably Darker didn't silently creep up and deal him a fatal blow. I suppose it's possible that he had a fall and hit the ground awkwardly. It could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident. Oh yes, a bad fall could explain it. It's hard to believe Kazuma-sama. He wasn't a clumsy man. Is there anything from the scene that could explain what happened? The shoe!
Yes!
Yes, an examination of the mark on the floor will prove the cause of death conclusively. This particular mark, so prominently visible in the victim's body, is a positive shoe polish. Shoe polish? Indeed, positively identified by a little analysis I constructed, which I now carry as a matter of course. Beeswax, tallow, and dye were my results, the undeniable ingredients of shoe polish. And the color of the polish is a perfect match to the color of Mr. Sogi's laced leather shoes. Looking at this mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Sogi must have caught his foot at that point in the floor and tripped. Please, no. And by a dreadful turn of misfortune, caught his neck against some immovable object as he fell to the floor. Suffering a fatal blow to the spine, the victim's vertebrae shattered, and in that instant he lost his life. No! I don't know. I don't know anything about this. Is that really true, Miss Pavlova? What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Sogi lost his life? Yes, the facts are as clear as day to me. You did all you could to conceal the incriminating evidence. But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence inside the traveling case. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama merely tripped over and now he's no more? It can't be true. I refuse to accept it. I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor seems to suggest that's what happened. But he was made to trip then. And if this part of Mr. Scholl's deduction is right, Miss Pavlova is trying to hide some evidence that would prove it. Here in this cabin, somewhere in the direction she just cast her eyes. Let's have a good look around. The answer must be here somewhere. Well, the only place I would hide something is the waste paper basket.
Yes!
No? I'm sure this waste paper basket is hiding something. Perhaps I should have examined it more thoroughly. Regardless, I'm just going to throw caution to the wind and say this is it. What spectacularly contrived logic led you to this mindless conclusion? Oh, well, it's supposed to be a logic and reasoning spectacular, so I thought I'd contribute to the show. This is my show, Mr. Naruhodo. Kindly perform any particular experiments on your own stage. This is a waste paper basket. Perhaps all the first class cabins have them. But Miss Pavlova only started occupying this cabin last night. Presumably there's not much rubbish in there yet. So I was right! I was right! If it looks familiar, perhaps it's more than just your mind's playing tricks on you. Now I can select the waste paper basket. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in this wastepaper basket. I love the diegetic music. Here we have a fragment of some intricate glass object it was seen, one that has a familiar air, in fact. Precisely. We found another piece of broken glass on the floor in Mr. Asogi's cabin. And as you can see, the two pieces fit together perfectly. A bell? Maybe the kitten had it on his collar? So, Miss Pavlova, shall we consider what this tells us? Why would it be that part of this glass object, which was evidently broken at the scene of the victim's death, should be found in the wastepaper basket in your cabin? You're well acquainted with this glass bell, are you not? I don't know, and that hush Russian accent of yours won't save you this time, dear girl. Why? Because we have conclusive evidence linking you to the bell in question. Take it away, Mr. Naruhodo. Yeah. Tell him, Naegi!
Yes!
If you look at this photograph, you can clearly see, hanging from Darka's collar, the very last bell in question. Hi. The truth has caught up with you, Miss Pavlova. The young man who lost his life last night did so after a very, truly inconspicuous fall. And the cause of that fateful stumble? He tripped over the cat and died. Your absent feline friend, Darka. He tripped over the cat. That's what we're going with. I couldn't tell anyone. I'm sorry. Okay, I think it's just his fault then for not paying attention to his surroundings. Why don't you tell us now, Miss Pavlova? Tell us exactly what happened last night. It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I hadn't enough time to feed Darka, so I gave her some food. And then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands. But what? I don't think that was the cause of death. I think he was bashed in by something. And I think the killer walked in, walked out, and pressed the button so the door locked, creating the locked room mystery. That's what I think happened. She disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her. And that is how you acquired the rather nasty wound on the back of your hand, isn't it? Yes, and I had read the rules on the wall. I knew that I was not allowed Darka with me. Yes, modern science suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It's a precaution, really. You didn't get your cat fucking spayed? Is that the term for, like, preventing it against diseases, or what? I don't know. Did that even exist back then? It was very quiet, I was sure. If someone was there, he might be sleeping. So at that point, you thought it safe to lure the kitten back in by dangling the end of the toy through the ventilator. Darka always loves this toy, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried using your favorite toy. I tried whistling to her softly, but she didn't return. So the faint whistling sound Cosmo wrote was Miss Pavlova trying to retrieve her pet. Cats have a propensity to remain in the shadows when frightened. Yes, so there was nothing else I could do. I just had to wait until she calmed down. But then... I nearly passed out with shock. I heard it cry out, and then... Oh, it was such a dreadful baying. Then afterwards, nothing. It was totally silent. Cosmo was... What happened to the cat? Is the cat okay? From the appearance of the brown mark on the floor, it seems likely what you heard was the victim stepping on the glass bell and tripping up. The SS Bird is a large vessel, but even she can pitch and roll without violently. If Mr. Selby was already off balance as a result of the ship lurching when the kitchen got underneath his feet, the combination of unfortunate factors could easily have caused him to fall over. But what became of the kitchen afterward? In the end, I managed to get her to come back through the ventilator. Yet Darka is nowhere to be seen. I must have forgotten to lock my case, and now she's disappeared again. Gracious, that cat is as insufferably restless as I am. Well, he knows something about himself, at least. When I woke this morning, I heard that a young man in the cabin next to mine had died, but I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. I was too scared. Scared that they would send me back. Oh, hold on a minute. What about the snake? You're right, where is it? If the snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavlova, then whose is it? And where did it come from? What on earth is such a dangerous creature being done? Oh, I didn't say. Snake is my friend. His name is Pirozoko. What? That snake belongs to you? He escaped from cage when emergency alarm shouted. I was looking for him. I did not expect to find him here. How did that snake get into this cabin? The animals are not permitted on board. Ha! We are at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long without close friend? Without someone who understands? Couldn't you find someone a little more human who understands you better? But my dear burly fellow, a gargantuan venomous snake, surely you can appreciate the danger you're putting everyone in. No venom. Pirozoko does not have venom. He is harmless, very long, but very gentle. He's adorable, like Granny. It's venomless? Yes. Now he is hungry, so he is in bad mood. But once I feed him, you will see big smile. And you feed him what? Milk, I suppose. Ah, like they say milk chickens. Ridiculous. Snakes that drink milk are only in stupid stories. Pirozoko eats mouses. Big, fat, round mouses. Ah. So, is that what the mousetrap in the passageway out there is for? Of course! How can I catch my friend's favorite food? It refuses to drink milk, it can't hear a whistle, it can't climb up a bell cord, and it's not even venomous. How the deuce did something so inept land a starring role? It's not my fault. I did not make up stories. My Pirozoko has nothing to do with this incident. So that's what happened. That's the truth behind my best friend's tragic death. I don't think so. I think that's wrong. Can you even prosecute someone for their cat's actions? Miss Pavlova, I understand the difficult situation you found yourself in, and I do sympathize, but please remember this. A young man lost his life. If you're going to attempt to cover up your guilt with lies, then, no matter what the circumstances, I cannot forgive you. She just confessed everything. It was just a series of unfortunate events, an accident. I'm no great detective like Mr. Sholmes. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. But even I can see that was not the truth. Don't you agree, Mr. Naruto? That's what I thought! To be perfectly honest, yes. There's a discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure of it. I just can't quite put my finger on it. I confess, I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal any outstanding issues on this with any outstanding issues on this matter. I am only present here for a very specific reason. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruto, are simply a distraction. I do hope you've not been finding your shackles too uncomfortable. Especially as they're on your wrists as a result of my intervention. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before I made my next port call. Yes, but I overlooked one important detail. The deceased young man was a very close companion of yours, was he not? Yes, Kazuma was my closest friend. I owed him my freedom, even. In that case, we must follow it to its conclusion. No further distractions. You must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, whatever that may be. The key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure. If I can chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear. The truth about how you really died. How that scene in the cabin really came to be. The note written on the floor. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. So then, shall we begin? Yes! What we should ponder first is the victim who lost his life in a cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. Was this truly an unfortunate accident, or was it in fact no accident at all? That is what we must establish in the first instance. But we've already established it, haven't we? The man tripped over the kitten that had climbed into the cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident. Wait! Let's take a step back. It doesn't make sense if that's what really happened, does it? I'm going to have to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavlova's story. The evidence is right there in Kazuma's cabin is undeniable. His death couldn't have possibly been a mere accident. Really? Let us show our hand, Mr. Naruhodo. Time to present the evidence.
Yes!
The truth is clearly recorded in this photographic print.
There's no way that Mr. Asogi could have left a message on the floor. That script, it's Russian, isn't it? Indeed it is. The word written means wardrobe. I see what you mean. Most people wouldn't leave a dying message in their native language. Japanese in this case. But maybe he was studying Russian. It is a simple language. He could have picked it up very fast. That doesn't seem likely. That's actually not the point. It makes no difference whether he knew Russian or not. Sorry, what do you mean? Exactly what I said before. There's no way that Mr. Asogi could have left this message on the floor, and the reason why is clearly explained in here. Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in instant death. Instant death! Which means after the victim fell to the floor, he couldn't have possibly written anything because he was already dead. That's not the only reason either. There's something else we found in Mr. Asogi's cabin. A remnant of something that could have possibly have been there with Pavlova.
Putting the message on the floor aside, there's something else that gives the truth away. Another piece of evidence that proves that this was no accident. In other words, I have no idea. No, because he noticed it.
Yes!
What point are you trying to make with that evidence? I'm starting to see how Kazuma's death really happened, I think. I think that you are starting to see nothing of the sort, and that was the evidence to prove it. If it was no accident, then what we should be looking for is one of two things. Either the absence of something you should expect to find at the scene of an accident, or the presence of something you wouldn't. Most competently put, my dear madam. Ah, I see. I confess you're rather languid, I see. Doesn't fill me with confidence, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes!
That was a guess. This piece of broken glass next to the mark on the floor. That's the glass bell that came around on the neck. It was broken in half when the victim tripped over and fell, so we already have a satisfactory explanation. Unfortunately, there's a very big flaw, a fatal flaw. If that's really what happened, then how did one half of the bell end up back here in this cabin? Remember that we found the other half of the glass bell in that waste paper basket. Would you care to explain that, Miss Pavlova? Both these pieces of evidence clearly point to the same conclusion. That when Mr. Asogi died last night in his cabin, there was someone else in the room. And that same person deliberately arranged the scene to disguise the truth, in order to cover up her own guilt. There's someone else present in Mr. Asogi.
You're all wasting time. Someone else was there. Duh, of course, we know this. Bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. There was no way in or out.
No, the alarm. And only other person in the cabin when young student died was you. It's true, I was in the cabin when it happened. You were shut inside the cabin wardrobe, to be precise about the details. But I don't know Russian. There's no way I could have left that message. Not would have. There's no way you could have left that message, to be precise about the detail. Would you mind? Ah ha 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 ha. Forgive me, my dear fellow. As I was saying, I hope he shows up in more than just this case. I hope he's throughout the whole game. The person in question with the word wardrobe on Russian in an attempt to incriminate me for the crime, even though I had been asleep the entire time. And then the same person picked up the broken glass bell that had fallen to the floor for fear of recovering evidence to show how Mr. Asogi really died. Why wouldn't the culprit leaving half was always going to raise question? Yes, well, it was past 1 o'clock in the early hours of the morning. The cabin would have been quite dark. The single small lamp suspended from the ceiling would have barely cast light onto the floor there. Little wonder then the culprit failed to notice the fragment of a tiny item. You all suspect me, don't you? Seaman Stroganoff. Nina is woman of sea. She is daughter of strong sailor. 2-3 years ago, they noticed her dancing skills and went to join ballet companies. But before, she was dancer on the ship, a member of the ship's band. You do not excuse ship's angel of being criminal. Ah, so that's it. You say that when young student died, Nina was there in her cabin. But that is not possible. I give my tooth. Sandwich. Why'd you give your tooth, Ray? You are a great detective. You should know. Look truth in eyes. Cabin bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. Nobody could go into cabin, not Nina nor anyone. Or do you want to tell me that the killer can walk through locked doors? Yeah, it's impossible. But wait, I've read about this in detective stories. People often tie thread around door latches so that they can open and close them from the outside. Thread? Are you stupid? These bulkheads are not barn doors. Certainly not. These are watertight doors, as one would expect to find on any modern steamship. Constructed for heavy seal, with not a gap in sight. No threads or needles or magnets could have been used. No, of course not. I thought so too. But Mr. Naruhodo suggested it earlier, so... Wow! So Seaman Stroganoff has a valid point. The cabin door couldn't have been bolted shut from the outside. Not necessarily. What? I put it to you that I could bolt this cabin door without laying a finger on it. And in this very cabin, you can see the traces of the method I have in mind having been used before. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe you know what I mean, don't you? A way to shut... One way does spring to mind, yes. Do you really know what Mr. Sholmes means, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, and so should you, because we've seen it happen. Indeed we have. So would you care to do the honors, Mr. Naruhodo? The alarm, but what do I pick for that? Oh, this!
Yes!
Look at the bookcase there. See how the books and things have toppled over? That must have happened when the ship made its emergency stop before. Yes, that's right. It's a very powerful vessel after all. When the engines are thrown into reverse, a violent jolt goes across the entire ship. Any small objects that aren't fastened down are bound to fall over. Alright, I need to end the stream. So, we aren't going to play this game for a while, actually. So, next time on the stream, we're not streaming tomorrow. We're gonna go raid Moo. I'll see you all, not tomorrow, but Thursday for more Danganronpa, and then Friday for, Bomber Cyberpunk. Alright, goodbye.